Thing's been telling me I should run a quick update for anyone who's watching out for stuff to do with the Empires of Apocalypse, or more specifically this game of Pearl Harbor that I'm playing and the instructional videos that I'm producing to go with it. And so I am playing the game, although I'm producing other videos of like quick, shorter games. I'm playing them on the side, quite literally, as you can see. The reason being because I had a 2 week break. We went on holiday and I had to get back into this monster, and I needed some appetizers to get into it, and now I'm back into it, and I did record a little update earlier, but I didn't post it because it was just like a turn as I was doing it, and it took quarter of an hour, and it was a whole turn, so you can see they were cracking along quite nicely. Essentially, that was still the war in China, and you can see there's a massive fortresses going up around here, because essentially what we have is we have two nationalist cities left. If they go, then the nationalist cause collapse, and then all we have left are the communists, who are right back there, because they got caught. They'd retreated back to around here. They got caught out of supply, and they were decimated. They sort of had to, I guess, make it back to here in dribs and drabs. That's the only other major city left in China. So the communists are holding out there. I think they'll be there for the next 10 years at least. Well, until the Japanese withdraw. And the nationalists, it's still hanging in the balance. But we are at 1941, and we're in September. So this was the month they'd been waiting for a while to get clear weather in the subtropical sea zone. We had the attack on Pearl Harbor. So you can see you've got Hawaii down there. This is actually the player turn after it. So the Japanese stack here attacked Pearl Harbor, and disappointingly didn't do a whole lot of damage. They damaged two battleships, an air counter, and they sunk the Lexington. And that was with, I think it was 4 or 5 aircraft carriers in there. Their aircraft planes attacking. So if you have a successful like port attack like that, you can kind of stand off your fleet, rather than returning them back to base at the end of your player turn. Then in the American player turn, essentially what they did is they've brought out most of their fleet from here, because as I understand it, these are not patrolling. I didn't put a patrol fleet, so they're kind of steaming around the ocean somewhere, I guess. Maybe they're considered to have gone back and have come straight back out again. So they don't have a chance to intercept. So the Americans have basically put their two forces in these two stacks, and they've brought in some transports here and some airplanes. So these two are waiting to kind of like escort those transports and airplanes over to, I don't know, they got a sub at Midway. I don't know, maybe, I can't remember what I was thinking last night, but anyway, they're bringing their forces back on. Over here in the Indonesian Sea, the Japanese, this is a fleet at sea, but they were escort for an invasion here. So they've successfully invaded here and successfully invaded here. And up in the Philippines, they actually only did an air attack against the air unit there. Oh no, yeah, that was the air unit which they destroyed. That wasn't from Pearl Harbor. So they didn't attack the Philippines. So in their player turn, then in the American player turn, basically MacArthur left. Oops, he's left the infantry unit there. He put a sub on patrol there, and he's gone home. And what we did have, the Americans landed on a friendly island, so it wasn't an invasion, it was just a convoy move, and it was easily successful, because as you saw, there's There was no separate. I should have left some Japanese destroyers on patrol. I didn't, and so they've already got some Marines here in Bougainville there. So yes, the American plan is, I guess the historical one is that they're going to come over this way and build bases, take back these, and then the plan is to hop to Japan via Formosa, Okinawa, something like that. The thing is there's lots of islands scattered around here, but the ports are not large, so you would have to scatter your fleet when it's not actually on a mission. So my thought is to get to the big ports around here so they can locate like big fleets. So they won't have to worry about gathering interceptions when they're gathering them together for a mission. So Australia's brought its forces up here, so they're preparing to hop off. And the British Empire, they've been building fortresses the last year, basically, around Singapore there. But other than that, they moved some submarines out. Other than that, they actually moved their air back to India because they think Singapore's going to fall. They just want it to be like a costly thing. So the Japanese are already have started seaborne invasions, so they're pulling troops out of China. So that theatre has slowed down, and I'm feeling that we didn't quite do enough there. I don't think they're going to be able to take the nationalists out, so I'm thinking about building some of these fortresses. These are Japanese. Okay, I lost my train of thought there because I had a telephone call that interrupted this. Yeah, so this game's ongoing, and it has to all come down for Christmas because we got guests in this room, so, and I don't know if I'm going to have time to finish it. I think what I'll do is I'll take it down and write down where everything's going, because I'm finding it interesting, although now I started, I think the land system is excellent. It runs really fast, and the strategic decisions, by which I mean the spending of replacements, the buying of armaments and stuff like that, are great. Then we've got the research, which is going nicely. We've got the Americans building up the A-bomb. The Japanese are running ahead in aircraft research. They're looking into improving their subs and so forth. The Brits have developing V-weapons, sonar, radar, stuff like that. It's good, and it goes quickly. Here's all the builds that are coming in. But then the sea thing I found a bit kooky, because I'm not sure how well it's going to play, because I think the system itself is probably fine, you know, the way it works with movement, different missions and interception and so forth. But what I found with the attack on Pearl Harbor was that you only get one round of combat. Now, essentially, with an airstrike like that, that means the fighters fight each other, and then you get anti-aircraft, and then the bombers go in, and you get anti-aircraft fire, and the bombers do their thing, and that's it. So there's just one round of that, and then you're gone. So, I mean, like the original Pearl Harbor, you know, that's what they did, but it is thought that if they'd sent their bombers back again, they'd have done a whole lot more damage, etc. There's no chance to do that. You only get multiple battle rounds in at sea in interception combat. So if units are intercepting, if say you have a unit moving and you have another intercepting, you would get one round of combat on the interception, then either of them can choose to break away. And if they break away, you do another search, and if you succeed at, or it depends on the speed and so forth, and then so you could then have another round of combat, and then you decide again, do we have another round like that? So without that happening, I think what we're going to find is a lot of damaged ships, but not so many sunk, because I had two best fighter bombers against the Lexington, and they, on a 2d6, they had, can't remember the exact odds, but they only had a sort of a small chance of actually sinking it. So with our best shot, and that was even with me adding Yamamoto adding his bonus of +4 to their attack, and I think that's how it works. I think that's how you can use those on air to surface and not just surface to surface combat. It's not specifically spelled out in the rules. Anyway, so even with the best sort of possible attack, we only narrowly pipped in sinking the Lexington and damaging two battleships, and probably the battleships would have had almost no chance of sinking them, because it's a differential based attack against like this is the armor strength. They have an armor strength each of 7, and the Lexington, its armor strength was equal to its its defense strength in this case would have been equal to its flight capability, but because that wasn't counted because it was surprise, he went down to a 1. So you see that we were lucky really to damage these two, and to sink any battleships that way it's going to be really hard. Not so hard to sink a carrier, but still very hard. So I would be interested to see how the sea war plays out. And I better stop this now, and I'll just quickly pop it up in case anyone's interested.